guys, what is going on? My name is Joe, aka Cap.
I'm Dom, not Mysterio.
Got Bash.
And I'm Francis.
And this is The Push. What is that? 2 streams in the past 5 days?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy, right?
We figured out a little thing called time management.
No,
We
And we
also
do it all.
figured out a little thing called this is the only day we could do this week, but
Mine sounded cooler.
it is true. We are back with another brand new episode. Backlash was this past weekend, so we're going to be giving our review. We're going to let you know who won the prediction game, and there are a couple of interesting topics I think coming out of this weekend. But before we get to the actual fun stuff, there is some sad news that I have to deliver to anyone who may not have heard yet. It is with a heavy heart, and I do mean this when I say this. It's with a heavy heart that I have to report that ECW legend, hardcore legend, Sabu passed away this past weekend. He passed away on Sunday. I'm going to be honest, I'm personally not quite sure how he passed.
The deets are really murky right now, but all we know for sure was a week after his last match. Yes, it really was his last match, which, dying a week after you do another hardcore match in your 60s is the most Sabu thing that Sabu has ever done.
I mean, look, folks, there's no easy way to say this. I'm truly a fan of ECW, especially the old days of ECW. So, when guys like Sabu pass away, it hurts a lot. And, we here at The Push, all thoughts and prayers go to Sabu's family. And, he's putting people through tables in a better place now.
We miss you, crazy man.
Oh, God. All right. Moving on from that, gentlemen, there was a premium live event this past weekend, Backlash 2025. Overall, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the review, how did you guys feel about the event this past weekend?
It was fine.
Better than night one.
A lot of people are saying that, yeah.
Yeah. I would say
there were some
it was a solid beat.
Yeah.
This was a really good one, honestly.
Yeah.
There wasn't a boring part of any of the matches.
There were some matches that I cared more about that I was surprised that I did, and we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I feel like I saw about 99% of it coming.
We all did. Why do you think all of our
predictions were basically the same?
Yeah.
And, there's definitely some things to talk about, I would say. We definitely have I definitely have a couple of things to talk about after this pay-per-view. But overall, I cannot say that it was a bad weekend overall. It was good. It was a good solid weekend, I think. Good solid weekend from WWE. So, let's get into it. This is our review of Backlash 2025. And we're going to start with, in my mind, the perfect way to have started off this event. Fatal 4-way match for the United States Championship. Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, and the current defending United States Champion, the Samoan Werewolf, Jacob Fatu.
Prison!
and I was not
Don't-
prepared for him to do that.
That's
I
That's
did
going to be
not.
my
He
thing
does
whenever we
it
talk
every
about Jake.
time. Why is this surprising to you?
And it still shocks me, which is weird, man. But anyway,
And I realized I've been like toning him out every once in a while because it's the first time I've heard him say it.
Yeah. It is shocking. You want to know what else is shocking, Cap?
What?
Prison. Look what it did to Jacob Fatu.
Well, what it did to Jacob Fatu
It
is
made him a
make
fucking
him a man.
champion.
Goddamn
It made
right.
him a United States champion. It also made for the fact that multi-man matches is where this dude thrives.
Mm-hmm.
This man thrived in this match.
They did the spot where everyone hits everyone's finishers. That always gets me. It's a cheap pop for me in particular, but I just love it whenever they do that spot. Yeah. You didn't like it?
No, I absolutely loved it. My favorite part of this was honestly when Drew and Jacob were one-on-one with each other in the ring. Because let's be perfectly honest, going into this match, all of the momentum was for Drew and Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, LA.
Sorry, Damien.
Yeah.
But despite that, this was not a bad match from any of these guys, to be honest with you.
It's a perfect show starter.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I would say it was arguably the best match of the night.
You think so?
I would say so.
I can see where he's coming from. Yeah, it's the one we most remember from between, like I said earlier, from between the spots to stuff that happened during two that I'm sure we're going to get to in just a moment.
Yeah, and
Oh, don't worry, we're going to talk about that.
Just like, don't get me wrong, the main event was very entertaining. It was great to watch. Like the nostalgia was there, and but there was. I mean, we'll talk about it more later, but I feel, me personally, I enjoyed the Fatal 4-Way more.
I really have to say, aside from Drew and Jacob's spot, I loved the spot between Damien and Drew in the arena, in the stands.
Oh yeah, when they pulled Triple H Undertaker at WrestleMania 17 and just dove off of fucking scaffolding.
Yeah. By the way, that actually ended up Drew with going through. I believe he's going through concussion protocol now because of this, because his head hit the back of the floor.
Ooh.
The back of his head hit the floor.
Oh.
So he is currently under concussion protocol right now.
Yeah, so
Yikes.
he'll be off TV for at least a month.
It's gonna probably be a hot minute before Drew is back on television. But so we're hoping a speedy recovery for him, but it should be all right. I think it should be all right. But yeah, no, that spot was still sick. You're a sucker for the cheap pop, Francis, when everybody's hitting their finisher on each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a sucker for the the hardcore spots in the stands.
Oh yeah, stand fighting.
The stuff that happens when they're doing it when they're fighting in the crowd and stuff like that. I'm a sucker for spots like that, to be honest with you.
It's usually leads to some really crazy spots.
I don't know. It's with them going into the crowd. It never interests me anymore because it's always the same areas. It's never anywhere interesting. It's like they have like a collar around their ankle and they can't go without like 100 yards of the home, which is the wrestling ring, and they just start crawling back in. This match was match of the night though. There was not one point of the match where it slowed down, but when it did I mean, there's probably one part of where it slowed down, but then that one part had Jeff Cobb come out and then shock everybody. Because people were speculating it, but it was kind of like a last minute thing. And Jacob, it's not gonna. I'm gonna like the feud that's gonna come up with Jacob for Solo because you can see when he left, he was pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's stop. I guess we can stop ignoring
beating
the
that around that bush.
very obvious elephant in the room.
The guy
Oh.
who can suplex the elephant across the room.
Let's stop ignoring the brick-sized elephant in the room.
Let's stop
Uh,
ignoring the walking refrigerator.
Jeff Cobb made his WWE debut, and probably more important, he's siding with Bloodline.
And he's not even Samoan.
Because officially, I guess Solo ran out of cousins for right now.
I think I looked it up.
He's out of cousins
he's-
who are available.
He's won 1 trillion. He's 1/100th Samoan on his.
Not even. He's
not even.
It's not.
Filipino.
I heard he was like Filipino.
Yeah, he's.
I thought he was Hawaiian.
His mom is Filipino. And
He's
his dad
Hawaiian.
is
I was told.
No.
Yeah, Hawaiian.
Hawaiian is
All right,
not
it doesn't matter.
Filipino.
He's not a. It doesn't matter. He's not Samoan, and he's sure as hell not a member of the Hawaii family.
No, he is not.
And rumor has it Jeff Cobb might not be his name.
No, it's probably.
Might not be his name in the future.
No, but they refer to him as
there
Jeff
might
Cobb, didn't
there
they?
might be a change. It's
Well,
just a rumor. I don't know if it's true, but
introduced him as
I was
Jeff
gonna say
Cobb.
Michael Cole referred to him as Jeff Cobb.
It's Jeff Cobb. Yeah. Cap.
there's a rumor that after he appeared, they bought the rights to a name.
Yeah, but that could go to
It might be
anybody.
a different person.
Yeah.
So, all right, listen.
Cap,
I
you and
have-
I joked like a while ago. They said, "Oh, when Jeff Cobb comes to WWE, watch him join the Bloodline, and they're gonna kayfabe say that like he's a super distant cousin of the Anoa'is."
Oh my god. Did we? Oh my god! Did we wish this into existence?
I think we did.
They ra-
Oh my
Guys,
God.
no, you don't understand. They ran out of families. There's
They
no
ran
more
out-
of them. They're all in
Yeah,
they're all in WWE now.
No, I'm sure
Yeah.
there's more of them somewhere.
There's
Well, I mean,
always
don't
more.
forget, what's his name? Hikuleo.
Yeah,
is
Hikuleo's still on
training
WWE.
right now.
Yeah.
So we still got a couple of more in the chamber. Probably there's always a Fatu
Okay.
running around somewhere.
Yeah.
Fatu and
Um,
Hawaii. Yeah, they're
But
not-
anyway, I do have some thoughts about this when it comes to the debuting Jeff Cobb and where they're putting him.
Oh yeah. Besides, they could pull the Rock's
Um,
daughter too. She's in NXT.
So I mean, here's my thing when it comes to this. Two things in particular. Number one, they got a lot of work to do with this guy. It was an impressive debut, no doubt. But I don't know if maybe I'm the only one that noticed this. There was not
No.
a sound.
No
when
one.
he
He
debuted. There is
got
not a
very
soul in that
little-
arena
yeah.
who knew who this guy was.
He got very little reaction because, unfortunately, like Cap said, I feel like not a lot. Everyone knew of Jacob Fatu when he came in because he was just a big name, and it was a lot of speculation.
Like, he made sure that you knew who he
yeah.
was.
But with Jeff Cobb, unfortunately, it's like you really only know him if you are into like New Japan Pro Wrestling. He didn't
And I
really
mean-
do a lot of stuff in the States. Because honestly, I had no idea who he was until we started this podcast. Because then Francis would talk about him all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
So
But I think he could definitely get over easily with the crowd because, especially the way you guys talk about him, I'm sure, like I'm
Yeah.
I didn't do my homework. I didn't watch anything about him, but
so
I'm sure he's.
So I'm
a
glad you
phenomenal
actually.
wrestler.
So I'm glad you actually said that, Dom. Because here's my. Then I'm going to pose this question. I'm going to pose this question to all of you. How first impressions of the guy of Jeff Cobb?
Well, unfortunately, I'm a little. Like I said, I'm a little past first impressions because I've heard, you guys talk about him all the time. But yeah, like I said, he looks like he can do a lot. He's a big dude, and to come straight into the main roster without going to NXT, he's got to have some kind of talent. So I'm excited to see what he does.
My first look on it, and man, this could be a wild assumption, and I know Francis might get a little mad at me at this, but I feel like there's a lot of work to be done. I feel like I felt very awkward when he showed his appearance.
It's because he didn't get a pop.
He didn't get a.
Yeah, not only because he didn't get a pop. I feel like he needs. I know he's probably going to need a little touch up on his wrestling because there is a big difference between us, WWE, and the other shows. There's kind of like a certain type of tempo and certain type of style that each of them has to develop at one point. And that's why a lot of them don't really have the same movesets like they would when they're in other companies, because if it doesn't go with the storyline, because when I feel like it's WWE puts more story into their wrestling as well as outside of physical wrestling. Yeah. So you have to actually tell it inside instead of outside, where in the other companies you say it outside and then you just beat the hell out of each other, which I'm not faulting. When I see the moves, it's amazing. It's very entertaining. It's a lot better than.
That's the thing with
others.
New Japan is notoriously very stiff.
Strong style.
Yeah, because you have Japanese strong style, especially like the homebred guys and girls there. They're very stiff. Like look at Asuka, Io, Kairi, Shinsuke. They're all like very notorious for being a little stiff compared to.
This guy already gives the impression that he is no different.
Oh no, absolutely. He's gonna fucking murder somebody. But I think he can make the adjustment because so many have in the past. All it is just adding a little psychology to your repertoire.
I understand the apprehension completely, and I agree with Dom 100%. Luckily for Jeff, he's worked various indie promotions on America, and he also been on TV for various other promotions aside from New Japan. His brief stint in AEW and on, of all things, Lucha Underground shows that he can slow down and pop the crowd when he needs to.
Yeah.
Really, I feel like the biggest thing going against him is, like we've said, it's because he showed up in a crowd that didn't really know who he is. Yeah. This would have been a perfect Raw After Mania debut.
So let me ask you.
I wanted to say this. Thank you, Francis.
I don't feel like he had enough hype behind him to debut at Raw After Mania.
So hold on. Before Scott, you answer your question. You ask your question, Francis. I have a question for you. As somebody who is obviously you are more familiar with Jeff Cobb than the rest of us are. So your first impression on his WWE debut.
I mean, I'm glad he's here. I just wish he wasn't relegated to being in the Bloodline, especially seeing as how I feel like the Bloodline is in their era of why are you guys still here? But
in the beginning stages of Judgment Day when they got JD McDonough.
Yeah, but with both of the Guerrillas of Destiny out, they can't just have a faction with just Solo and Jacob. And if there's one guy who can round things out, it's definitely Jeff Cobb. I need to see him in an actual match. Again, I feel like he can go the route of Penta, where he can just seamlessly blend in despite the seemingly rocky debut. But once he gets going, you guys are going to love it.
Rocky debut. Penta
didn't have a rocky debut at all.
No, it wasn't rocky. It was But no, I meant rocky, not in the terms of wrestling, but the promo that he cut after just kept going and going and going.
Oh.
In terms of that.
All right. My thing I want to say about this, because I noticed it's starting up again. We're seeing a third variation of this story, and it's something that I know he's not family, but he's putting in that I don't know if he's family or not, but he's putting in that family, and they all tend to, as of recent, like to have the same character. We had Solo, we had Jacob, now we have Jeff Cobb.
Yeah, they just come in as the enforcer.
Why does it seem like all three of them are enforcers? We don't they need to develop a character outside of the same factory reset. Oh, here you go. There you go. You're just a big enforcer, and they just keep getting smaller and smaller. I need to see an actual personality change. Fortunately, Jacob Fatu has a personality, unlike Solo, which kind of just not there. It's very dull. And Jacob Fatu, I'm I'm just really loving. I know I was waiting for a title reign, and I just can't wait to see how it goes farther and when this whole thing breaks up.
So I'm
But
glad.
also, I need to see a different. I need to see something else. I don't want to see an enforcer. It's like
Okay,
the
so
third character.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, Scott, because here's my thing on this debut. First of all, the debut was fine. I feel like I would have been more into the debut had the crowd been into him, but you know, it is what it is, and it turned out to be just sort of it turned out to be a perfectly fine debut for Jeff. Um, I do fear that there is it feels like a bit of a redundancy having Jeff Cobb in the bloodline because you know they all seem to have the same character of an enforcer, a former enforcer.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, hell, you could say that the Gorillas were even
Well,
enforcers
yeah,
for
because
a
each one of them
while.
came in to be like backup for somebody.
Yeah.
So I feel I feel like it's not doing Jeff any bit of service. I'm going to say this now. I had a conversation with Francis earlier on the day on Saturday where I actually wanted Jeff Cobb to be. You could keep him as an enforcer. It's not like there's anything wrong with having him as that character. He fits the bill
Mm-hmm.
perfectly. I'd prefer if he was like maybe John Cena's enforcer or something like that.
That's
But
honestly
to put
when we were talking about him coming to WWE, that's where I thought they were going to go with that. I thought maybe he would side like with The Rock and Cena and be
so
like
sort of
Cena's
have
heavy.
him be like, you want to fight the last real champ, get through,
You got to get through him
the
first. Yeah,
monster Jeff
His
Cobb.
mini boss.
that's what I'm saying. It's like he's the heavy for Cena.
And I think that would have been an incredible opening role for, I think that would have been an incredible way to introduce him to the WWE universe. But within the bloodline, it feels very
Mm-hmm.
repetitive. He feels like a redundancy. I'm sorry to even say it, he kind of looks like a smaller version of Jacob, to be honest.
Not much smaller.
Not
Nah,
much smaller,
no, get
but
it
keep in
right. He's
mind
a
how big
stockier
Jacob
version of
is.
Rhino. He's a stockier version of Rhino. Get it right.
Like, I mean, this is my thing. So I don't know. How do you guys feel now that Scott, we've already understand how you feel, but Dom, Francis, how do you feel about this sort of like almost feeling of repetitiveness and adding yet another enforcer to the story of the bloodline?
No, yeah, honestly, I agree with Scott 100%. It's redundant, like you said. It's redundant. It's repetitive. It's all those synonyms for redundant. It's one of those things. It's like I feel it's almost lazy at this point. It's like, oh, you came over from New Japan and you're not Japanese. Let's put you in the bloodline as someone's heavy, as like someone's enforcer, and just take it from there. Like, there's so much more he could have done to come in, but at the same time, because of his lack of hype behind him, so maybe it is a good place to put him. It was one of those things where it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situations. I
Yeah.
feel like because, like I said, it's like he didn't really have a lot of hype behind him. Jacob Fatu, everyone was like he's coming straight to WWE. Everyone knows who he is because of his relationship to Roman Reigns. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
All good.
But here's my thing. Everybody knew who Jacob was, but even with all of that, on his first night, that man made a statement.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
but again,
you knew
that
what he was
also,
about the first night.
but that also comes down to booking.
It also comes back to we've seen this done before.
Yeah. No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's Jacob didn't just decide to come out and do those things. He was told, that, hey, you're going to go out, you're going to hit this spot, that spot, and this spot. Right? So Jeff Cobb was told, hey, you're going to be in the crowd, and then you're going to clothesline LA Knight, and then you're going to do what you got to do. So it comes down to the producers at that point of giving him maybe not the best opportunity to showcase anything.
Fair enough, man. I feel like there's also, and then we'll start to move on here. We'll reveal the results of the match. Um, but I have one last question, Francis. You would probably know this the best. Um, what is this guy's character work like? Like, how is he on the mic and stuff like that?
Well, Jeff Cobb actually does have really good character work. He's decent on the mic, but going back to his days in, he's very much more of an action speaking louder than words guys. Just the sheer intimidating factor was enough to get his point across and his character. He can still talk for himself, though. And as far as what that character is, it's basically like think a darker version of Kurt Angle when he first debuted, or to be more relevant, the darker version of Chad Gable, a former Olympian turned pro wrestler who wants to scour more competition and try out his craft and just throw the biggest people that he can.
All right.
Fair enough.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's potential for like good character work here with him.
Yeah, that's his character, the quote unquote real athlete coming to make his mark on pro wrestling. We've seen it with Kurt, we've seen it with Chad, and we saw it with Taz. We're going to see it again with Jeff Cobb.
And also Grande Americano.
Oh, and El
No,
Grande
El
Americano.
Grande Americano's a luchador.
Yeah, but like he was also.
But he gives that American spirit.
Yeah,
and
but
he was
wasn't-
trained.
El Grande Americano was an Olympian. Chad Gable
He was trained. He was trained by an Olympian.
Yeah, but he never went. Okay, what Olympics did you see El Grande Americano wrestling at?
The Chad Gable Olympics, where Chad Gable
Let me
trained
look
him.
up Chad Gable's stats real quick.
Why, dude?
Why look up Chad Gable stats? I can tell you El Grande Americano stats, and I think it's undefeated.
He is still relatively new.
All right. So anyway. All right. So anyway, let's move on with this. Obviously, yes, Jeff Cobb got involved in the match, and
here's the results.
Despite the look of uncomfort on Jacob's face, he did pick up the pin. So Jacob Fatu retains the United States Championship. I will tell you this: I'm very excited for this eventual Jacob Fatu versus Jeff Cobb match.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's going to be a bloodbath.
All right, Scott.
We all get the point with Jacob Fatu winning, and Dom had an extra point on a group involvement. Unfortunately, I can't give him the point because of it being a new character, and the fact that Solo never did shit. He just stood there.
Well, that's not true.
And usually when we put new people in, when new people come in matches, we null and void anything like that. So,
I mean, it's
group
not
involvement
true
was a new wrestler.
It's not true that Solo didn't do anything.
But he didn't do what he needed to get for Dom to get the point.
He didn't do anything to
interfere in the match.
Be involved.
He was just at ringside.
Yeah.
He just showed up, and the interference was a new wrestler.
The interference was from Jeff Cobb.
I didn't know whether to give it to him or not, and I decided not because it was a new guy. If it was like a return, and I know one of the brothers are injured, and he came back and interfered, that would have been definitely.
If it was like Tama or
Gorillas of Destiny.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. All right, moving on, we have the next match on the card, which was the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch.
I'm especially proud of this one.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm happy to see you're exceptionally proud of it because you know how it goes with these sort of like B pay-per-views or B premium live events, I should say.
You had to write the first one, pay-per-view.
The card and the results are usually quite predictable.
Mm-hmm.
So, but every now and then, old Papa H got to throw in a couple of surprises for us.
Swerve, bro.
And this one was definitely a swerve. So overall, but before we get into the result, how do we feel about the match overall?
It was good. It got really gnarly at the end, but I liked it.
It felt like a fight. Like, no.
Yeah, that was...
And I'm like that they're showcasing the women's IC belt more. That belt could definitely use a little extra exposure.
Yeah.
I will definitely say this. This is probably the strongest defense that title has had so far.
I think
Hands
it's
down,
only
without
like
a
the
question.
third defense the title's had so far.
And it was the best one it's had so
Yeah.
far. But and I think that's carried by the very simple fact that these two women are incapable of putting on bad matches.
Mm-mm.
I genuinely think
If it is a bad match, it's somebody else's fault.
I genuinely believe that both Lyra and Becky are incapable of putting on bad matches. So you put the two of them together, and it was fantastic. There was a lot more callbacks to their match, and to be honest with you, I had kind of forgotten that they had this match, but they had an NXT Women's Championship match back in 2023, and there was actually a lot of callbacks to that. Lyra beat Becky during that match. That's how she became the NXT champion. And then perhaps even the most shocking part of all of this is, and a little bit of call out to the IWC on this one. They did show Lyra's fiance on camera and stuff like that. And the internet
Becky
has
got
to
in a
do what
screaming
the
match with
internet did. And the internet does what the internet does best, be terrible people. And start,
I love the internet.
start bashing on the poor man.
He didn't do anything. He just showed
He did
up.
nothing, man. He was there, and I'm not gonna put any stock in. I'm not gonna read any of the comments or anything like that. They were making fun of how he looks and stuff like that. Hey, listen, man. At the end of the day, he's marrying Lyra Valkyria. You're not.
And you're not. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
let's think about that for a second.
Being the person that guessed this right, I took great pride in this one because I especially wanted her to win because she's become one of my favorite female wrestlers in the business right now. Because a lot of differentials in my favorites leaving, coming back, and everything. But I liked her when she came in and she started showing off in the tournament, in the WWE tournament, making I think to the semifinals or the finals.
Oh, she made it to the finals.
Yeah, the finals. And it's good to see that this match was for I'm trying to think of the right words, but it definitely had bumped up her level of importance in this business.
Yeah.
And we're probably not going to see her win that title back whenever she does lose it.
No,
because
she'll move on to the main
if you put on a match like that with Becky Lynch, and I mean, there's no point. You already proven yourself. You can main event. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah. So as you said, we'll cut to the chase here. Lyra did pick up the win in this match. I'm curious to know everyone else's opinion on this because, to be honest with you, there was a brief moment I thought it was a mistake. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought that was actually a really cool spot that they did because I thought the same thing. I remember watching it and I was like, "Oh, did they fuck up?" Because Becky just jumps up immediately and starts kicking the fuck out of her, and I was like,
"It's true."
I was like, "Did they make a mistake? Like, was that not supposed to be 3?" But then she rolled out of the ring and kind of went to the back, and I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess that was planned."
So
I mean, it wasn't like a look at the lights kind of pin. It was a roll up,
But also there was like a kind of a weird spot in it as well, where the referee like went and grabbed another turnbuckle after Becky exposed it.
Yeah,
and that caused a delayed pin and stuff like that. And I'm gonna be honest, I was personally not a fan of that, just because like I don't think I've ever seen that happen in the middle of a wrestling match before, so I don't know why it was important for that to be the case now.
No,
So-
they've done that in the past. Like
If they have, I
not
don't
in
remember.
not recently, but like I know when I was a kid, I remember there'd be matches where the referee would get distracted by like, mainly in like Eddie matches, that like the turnbuckle would be undone and he would be like, "Oh, I gotta go fix that," and then Eddie would cheat, and
Yeah.
So it's not like to me, it's not completely unheard of, but it didn't make sense for the narrative of the match.
It felt kind of awkward for me personally, and then I'm not crazy about the finish either, because it genuinely read as a mistake to me, to be honest with you.
Honestly,
I will however agree that the best thing this had going for it is the fact that these two women are incapable of putting on bad wrestling matches, and I genuinely think that a victory like this and a match like this and this storyline in general does nothing but help Lyra.
My only thing that bothers me
is that Becky lost.
Well, besides that, the only thing that really bugs me about Lyra's title reign specifically, I feel like I haven't seen her win a match clean. I feel like every match that she's won has come because of like a roll up, or like, you know what I mean, like a surprise roll up or a schoolboy kind of finish. Nothing like hit finisher, pin to 3, and I'm definitive winner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
You're feeling like, so if I can maybe paraphrase, you're feeling like maybe there hasn't been a dominant victory yet.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same issue I had with Liv Morgan's first title reign. It's like, she got lucky every time. But
fair enough.
Yeah.
Francis,
but
your thoughts?
Like you said, she puts on phenomenal matches. Otherwise,
yeah,
of course.
I'm surprised mainly because I had put down Becky as well. But like I said earlier when we started talking about this match, it started off a little slow, and there was that weird moment where we all thought it botched. But especially near the end, where they both tried to go for dual disarmers, that's where it really started to pick up. Got a lot more gnarlier and fast paced. And I'll say this much: like the fact that they had her beat Becky, albeit in a screwy manner, but having her beat Becky at all shows how much they're on to Lyra Valkyria right now. So, like, maybe what Scott said is true. Maybe in the future, when she does drop the IC belt, she's going straight for the main women's belts. And if and when that day comes, they have a perfect champion right there.
Yep.
Let's say I agree.
It doesn't make sense for Becky to win. I mean, I understand. I'll refer a little bit to Charlotte, and like I was mad at the point that she gets an instant title match, but having an intercontinental match and you're probably one of the top stars ever since you left as one of the top stars, or the top women's wrestler, and then you're going to come back to a second title. I mean, with her character and how she is, I don't think Becky would want a title that her character would consider second best.
Exactly.
I
don't really agree with that, to be honest with you.
He's the man. How can you be the man and you not have the major title?
Yeah, but it's also a matter of, you got to look at it this way. Like, look at the history of the original Intercontinental Championship title. That was always considered like a workhorse championship. So it's always like, even though yes, it is a mid-card title. And again, it's also a matter of, I'm thinking about it this way of, as a professional wrestler, you want to collect, like, you want to have diversity. You don't want to hold, like, it's great to hold the world championship over and over and over again, like John Cena, right? But John Cena has had the United States Championship. That he always treated like that as if it were just as big as the world championship or the heavyweight championship.
I'm glad you actually brought that up, because I was about to bring up the same thing. When John Cena won the United States Championship back in the day, he even said it himself. He used that title to its fullest extent. We still talk about the John Cena Open Challenge. The 5-star matches that the man would put on with guys like Cesaro and stuff like that. It introduced us to wrestlers like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Even the matches he had with Rusev to obtain the title were absolute 5-star matches. So I don't agree with it at all in the fact that, how this whole thing of like, how can a top star be going for the mid card championship? Having a top star be your mid card champion for a while,
Just
honestly,
elevates
I
that
think
title.
does nothing but elevate
Yeah.
the title.
I mean,
This is true.
a little bit of Cena, but there is a bit of a difference between Cena and Becky. Becky, she's been gone for a while, and after doing what she wanted to do for a little bit, she comes back and wants to wrestle again. For that point in John Cena's career, it was like, all right, we're fucking sick and tired of you. Can you go down to the mid card so we can see the other wrestlers and see what they can do with the title? Because it was to be honest, it was that vibe when he went back down to get that United States title. It was kind of like we've got you for 15 years. We have this Shield that broke up. We're having all these crazy great newcomers coming up. You need to push it back down. And the women's division isn't like that. It kind of still needs help. There's still an issue with it.
Yeah, and
I
what
don't
better
agree with
way to
that at
help?
all. I think
What
at the
better way to help than have a future Hall of Famer go down and elevate that talent?
not only that, but you're going down to a championship. We ourselves have admitted does need help. The mid card women's championships need help right now, and so and to be honest with you, at the top end of the women's division right now, they are stacked
Mm-hmm.
right now. Especially when you're also taking into consideration that they're bringing in women like Julia and Roxanne, and they're already putting them in like main eventers in Io and Rhea and stuff like that. Over on SmackDown, I mean, Strat and Jade Cargill is finally getting into the into the women's title picture. So at the top end, you are already stacked as far as the women's division on both shows. So I think that actually for Becky to go to the mid card title, a slot where we openly admit it needs help right now,
No,
I
no,
think is a fantastic
hold on, I
idea.
got one. I got one better because that you explained something perfectly and it made me think of it. The women's division does need help. It's not the mid card titles because Lyra still had the title when she first won it. Selena Vega just got the title. We don't know what's going to happen with that one. They had it right the first time. They just made her team up with the wrong person. She should have stayed as a tag team partner if they really wanted her to help.
Who?
Because it never seemed that one title, these two titles, those mid card titles are brand new. We don't. So far, the Intercontinental was the one she has, right? Yeah, the Intercontinental Women's title is now at a point where it's like, all right, this is looking pretty powerful because of the people she beat. The other titles look kind of weak because it's already switched hands, and we don't know what the future is going to hold for that title as of now. But they had it right with the tag team division. It would have been great to see Becky team up with someone else and then go after the tag titles, because maybe with her as a big star in the tag division, they'll want to put that title more on TV, and it will try to help bump it up for when she does lose it. And then Becky turns heel after she loses the tag titles.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. They kind of did that. You're just adding like an extra month or two
You're just
to
extending
the
it.
story that they're already doing. You're just telling them that they should have extended it like an extra 2 or 3
Yeah.
months.
Adding Becky
And have
Lynch
it
to
someone
the
completely different.
but
They
adding
shouldn't have made
but,
it. She shouldn't have teamed up with someone who already had a title. It should have been a different wrestler, someone who needs the help, kind of.
okay, but here's my only thing with that, right? We've already agreed in the past a couple of times that there's really no women tag teams outside of like the same
They
three
just
that we keep
fired one of
seeing.
their only ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside of the main three that
That's
we
when you
keep seeing.
forcibly
Okay,
create
but
your own.
listen, and then you put okay, so you give all right. Let's say you fucking team up Becky and Charlotte, for the tag titles. Who are they gonna fight? They're gonna fight the same fucking three people over and over again. That's not elevating. Well, if they want
And
to
just one other
elevate
thing-
that, I think they should get rid of the women's tag titles altogether in the first place because they really are
Well,
doing.
that's a
they're
different discussion.
They're doing nothing to build it up. The women's tag division is not great. forcing women to tag together to just make random teams.
That's how you end up with teams like the Pure Fusion Collective.
Yeah, exactly. Teams that have
I totally forgot they existed until you said their
but
name.
that's
right
what I'm
now.
saying.
There you go.
You have teams
Thank you
that
for
have
proving my point.
no cohesion, no chemistry together, and it doesn't make sense, and that's just going to damage it. If anything, like I said, get rid of the women's tag titles, focus on the women's mid cards and the world titles. Outside of that, I think that's about it. But we've been rambling about this for a while. I think it's time to move on to the next match.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next.
Yeah.
Because we went from one intercontinental. By the way, yes, as I said, Lyra Valkyria picked up the win. Scott is the only one that picked up a point on that.
Yep.
Hooray for Scott.
You bastard.
But anyway, we go from
I got
one
chat skills, man.
intercontinental championship to a second intercontinental championship, the men's intercontinental championship between Dirty Dominic Mysterio and Penta himself. By the way, have I mentioned yet how awesome it basically redid Penta's
Yeah, it's great.
theme? That's actually sick to me that they did that.
Well, we've been saying for a while that we missed licensed music in WWE.
I think that this is even better because they seem to be going down a route where have them like create their own songs, but have like bands do it. Like
Because
have
what is it,
like
they had
real
Tool
like
do
crazy musicians perform their theme songs. You saw this at WrestleMania when the guitarist for Slayer basically redid Damian Priest's theme song. You now have the guitarist from Tool doing Penta's. Rhea's actually had like
Motionless in White.
Motionless in White sang her theme song, and that's like I believe one of the most popular theme songs on Spotify and iTunes right now. I think that's like one of the most like in the top 5 right now.
I started listening to Motionless because of her. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
You're also probably not the only one.
No.
So overall, I think that, you know, if they're not going to use like licensed music, having like these incredible talents do their theme songs in general, I think is the next best possible idea.
Yeah, because like if CFO wants to like make the music, like compose it, I guess, and then shell it out to a band to like record it, that's fine.
Well, it's also not CFO anymore. Now it's Def Rebel. It's Def Rebel.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, Def Rebel.
Yeah, don't you remember what a big impact Def Rebel has?
Well, we can't argue about it too much because apparently they gave us Roman's music.
Def Rebel has been very hit or miss.
Yeah.
When they hit, they fucking hit, man.
But when they miss, they fucking miss hard.
Yeah.
Oh my god, do they miss?
There's no middle ground.
No, there isn't. But you could probably make the same argument with CFO.
Well, no, that's the thing. It was CFO and Def Rebel. They had bad habits of producing music that sounded way too similar to the other music that they've produced. So it's like wrestlers were coming out and everyone's like, who the fuck is that? You know, the only ones that...
But again, when CFO hit, man...
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, did they hit. Shinsuke, Bobby Roode. Those are the only two I could think of at the moment, but...
Balor.
Do I even need other theme songs after those two?
Balor's theme song was better when he was the demon and stuff.
Yeah, they did that.
Balor.
Yeah, but when Def Rebel got their hands on it and like Judgment Day and they Judgment Day-ified it, I hate it. I hate his new music.
Shit, Sami Zayn. They gave us Sami Zayn's music, and people still... That's arguably the most popular part about him right now. But anyway, let's talk about the match in itself. I'm gonna be honest with you. This was probably my favorite match of the night. To be honest with you, I thought that these two absolutely killed it. Dominic, it's actually crazy to think how good Dominic has become in the ring over the past few years.
That snap head scissors takedown he did to Penta. You guys know what I'm talking about. That was a thing of beauty.
The DDT on on the floor.
That was awesome too.
No, yeah. He
Big
Like,
Snake would be proud.
It's
Yeah.
actually insane how good this kid has become in the ring.
Oh yeah. Well, that's it. I forgot who said it. I want to say
Heyman?
no. I want to say it was like Seth Rollins that did an interview and they asked about him. And I could be wrong, so don't quote me on who said it. But I remember they mentioned Dom.
Might be Cody if I'm thinking of what you're
It
thinking.
could also be Cody, actually, now that I think about it. They're like, oh, how is Dom backstage and like what does he do? And whoever it was said like the kid's basically a sponge. Like he takes advice from everybody and anybody he can get. And like he legitimately takes the whatever advice he's given, he takes it to heart and he implements it in his matches and stuff. So he's constantly learning. He's always learning from somebody else. And like honestly, him joining Judgment Day was probably the best thing that could have happened to him.
It was the smartest decision.
Yeah, now instead of just working with Bray, he's also working with Damian. He's working with Rhea, JD, Finn. All amazing wrestlers. And then everyone he's feuding with, learning from them too.
I mean, I think back to last year. He basically had like not last year, about 2 years ago. He had like this almost throwaway feud with Cody Rhodes. And I call it a throwaway feud because it lasted like maybe only like one, only up to like Money in the.
Yeah, I think they had like 2 matches
like that. It was only like maybe 1 or 2 matches at most. But the match that they had at Money in the Bank arguably was, in my mind, was like the best match of that night, to be honest with you. He took it to honestly the top babyface in the company. And he had in my mind, a 5-star match with him. So to see his growth in the past few years, I honestly think is incredible. And we already know what incredible, like, what great character work he is able to put out. The man is like the ultimate heel. He's the only person in the world I've seen start as a heel and become a super heel.
Like, well, he started as a babyface.
Then he turned heel.
I'm talking about when he turned on Rhea.
Oh,
basically.
yeah. The only person I've known to ever have a heel turn while being a heel.
He turned super heel.
And and here's the thing. Here's the crazy part about it. Despite that, I genuinely think that this kid might be turning face soon because people are starting to get behind him.
Yeah, he won that title and he started getting cheers, and I'm like, oh fuck.
So it's
this pay-per-view
interesting to see because, like, kayfabe wise, if we are going solely on the kayfabe and the story of Dominic and his character so far, this man openly disrespected his father, who was like probably one of the most beloved characters in WWE in our lifetimes, in Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
He kicked Edge in the balls. He kayfabe slept with Rhea Ripley. He then kayfabe cheated on Rhea Ripley and started sleeping with Liv Morgan. He then tried to go back to Rhea, which in kayfabe meant he was cheating on Liv Morgan.
And got himself kicked in the nuts.
By every stretch of the word, there is no reason why we should even be considering this kid turning into a babyface again, and yet we have to sit here and ponder the idea that he might be turning face.
In all fairness, I can understand why people would get behind him.
Mm-hmm.
He kayfabe.
This match was
kayfabe fucked with the 2 hottest women in the company.
Respect.
Like you gotta respect game. Yeah.
Game is recognized as game.
This match, I had no doubt that was going to be good because Penta's amazing. Mm-hmm. And Dom, they finally fucking let him loose and made him win a title because, goddamn, when he's been in the business for 5 years and for 3 of them, you made him just stand there in the back with the group barely doing anything. Even when he had the tag titles, he was barely doing anything.
Mhm.
You finally like about fucking time. I've been wanting to see because I'm like, how long is he gonna learn? He learned from Ray, he learned from Edge, he learned from Damien, he learned from Rhea, he learns from Finn, and like how many he learned from Carlito. I'm like, how many fucking people does he need to come with it to pop up in the group to finally let him win a fucking solo title? And thank God, because this is just the beginning. Like shit.
Oh yeah. Listen, the inevitable Dom and Finn feud is going to be phenomenal. Like they could probably feed families.
Finn
Yeah,
was
I
giving
mean,
him the stink eye when he walked up the
Oh
entrance
yeah,
ramp at
but
the
that's what I'm
end,
saying.
right?
That's going to be such a slow burn feud. It's going to be great though.
But let's also not forget that there was that moment where Finn was kind of slow in getting the steel chair
Mm-hmm.
when and to be honest, I don't even think Dom knew that was happening. JD looked fucking pissed at him
Yeah.
though, like what the
Yeah.
hell are you doing? Like
And JD is supposed to be his boy.
JD is like his best friend
Yeah.
in the group. But
JD, keep the beard.
like
He does
here's-
look.
No, I'm sorry. I heard Scott talking about keeping the beard. I was watching back a couple of our old videos at this point, and I forgot when the period of time when Scott had like the man beard and stuff
Yeah.
like that bushy ass man beard. The
Oh, the
Braylon
hobo
Yeah.
beard.
The beard.
He had the
Surprisingly
Amish
enough, the beard make his head look smaller,
Mhm.
I
and
mean,
he
I
actually
guess,
belongs with the beard
I
in
mean,
there.
I guess that you would know between all four of us. So,
But
but anyway,
and what is El Grande Americano's fucking deal in all this now?
He probably was stocking on orders of Chad
That
Gable.
was the
you
most
know?
random fucking
No, but
thing.
I'm
Like,
saying like, why did he run in of all people?
Well, I mean,
I mean,
Right?
I guess
let's
his whole
put it
goal
this
is to
way.
like kind of fuck over all the luchadors, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Chad
mean,
Gable told him to do
yeah,
it.
Story there. He screws over other luchadors and stuff like that. So what better way?
and
to screw
now next is
luchador?
Penta.
Yes.
So yeah, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I knew something was gonna happen. I thought it was gonna be like one of the Judgment Day guys like screwing him over, but it wasn't. It was just Chad.
What? No,
El
it was
Grande
El Grande
Americano.
Americano. Did
Chad
you
wasn't
see
there.
Chad Gable?
Yes, I did.
No, you
He
fucking
was the
didn't.
guy wearing the mask.
No,
It was the
he
guy wearing the
wasn't.
mask.
Oh my God, Scott,
Francis,
back
I
me
don't
up,
want
please.
like
Yeah, I was about to say, can you back this up, please?
El Grande Americano has a luchador's mask.
He
Chad
has a
Gable does
luchador,
not have
a
a
luchador mask.
luchador mask.
And,
Oh my
okay,
god! You know what I've? You
El
know what
Grande
I've?
Americano is of a darker skin tone
Oh my
of
god!
yes,
Chad
No, he's
Gable.
not.
Yes,
No, he isn't. What are you talking about?
he is.
he
Yes.
totally is. No,
Spray
I'm
tan
actually with
doesn't
Scott
count.
on this one. He
What are we
totally
talking
was.
about?
No,
He totally had the darker.
No, spray tan does not count as a darker skin complexion.
Spray tan doesn't mean you're
What makes you
darker.
think it was?
you idiot.
What makes you think it was?
And their
Spray tan?
moveset is different because Chad Gable doesn't really go flying off the top ropes. El Grande Americano lives for that.
What are
Exactly.
you talking about?
Chad
Chad
doesn't go
Gable's
off the top
finish is the
rope.
flying headbutt.
What are you
But El Grande Americano does it better.
Bro, who have you been watching that Chad Gable doesn't go off the top rope?
Yeah,
what wrestling
you know
have
what?
you
No,
been
time
Well,
out,
watching?
I've been watching
Time out.
El
No,
Grande
Scott.
Americano because Chad
Scott.
Gable's been hurt this entire time.
Scott, I think you're getting
Yes.
confused. Chad Gable is the newer guy that has hair. If he's bald, that's Kurt Angle. I think you might be watching the wrong matches, my guy.
I would be shocked if
my
El Grande
God.
Americano turns out to be Kurt Angle.
You know what? You know what? You know
Listen,
what I-
it wouldn't be the first time he wore a lucha mask. Remember, he was that big golden thing
No.
that one
Oh
time.
yeah, he was like Conquistador or something.
Yeah,
like
El
that.
Conquistador
Yeah.
or some stupid shit like that.
Oh god. You know what I've been thinking about recently?
Yeah,
Do you
the
guys
Conquistador was
remember-
great until we found out it was
Do you guys
unlike
remember
El Grande
the-
Americano.
I was about to say, good thing that never happened again.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, you know what I've been thinking about recently? I've been thinking. You guys remember the whole Mr. America Hulk Hogan story
Oh yeah.
character?
Yeah.
I truly wonder because I forget when that happened. I think it was like 2003, 2004
Something like that,
or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Very.
I
early
was
2000s.
like really young when that storyline was going on. I was barely able to appreciate it at that point. But I truly wonder if I would be if I would be as done with the joke back then as I am over this stupid character.
Probably
Well,
not,
back
because
then
were
you
a
didn't have
kid.
us.
Well, it's a good thing it's not a joke. You just think it's a joke.
Yeah, honestly, that was a joke. These are two guys who you consistently fucking believe is the same guy, even though Scott and I keep saying that's not the same guy.
Okay, all right. Then
Ah!
riddle me this one, Batman. If he's such a great oh, he's gone. Oh, and he's gone too.
Fuck you.
So then riddle me
He just
this
hates the
one,
facts.
Batman. If he's such like a devout student of Chad Gable, and like Chad Gable is such like an important person to him, why has Chad never been in his corner during a match?
Yeah.
Because he believes in him. Because he
Because he's a
believes in
true
him.
wrestler who doesn't need anybody in his corner, unlike every other heel in history.
A man's got to go his own way.
Okay, can we move on?
Yes, please, because to look at Francis's face during this right now is just pissing me off.
Did anyone have bonus points? Did anyone have bonus points on this match? Scott?
I think I
Scott did, but he did not get it right because there was no dirty victory. Because I
What are you
think they
talking
get
about?
kicked. They got kicked from ringside.
Yeah,
The
but El
Judgment
Grande
Day.
Americano
They
headbutted.
got involved in
Penta.
the match.
And
They were
El
about
You
Grande,
to
didn't do
start
involvement.
ahead
You
with a
did dirty
steel chair.
victory.
What are we talking about?
A dirty victory. You did a dirty pin, like a dirty victory, like that. There wasn't.
I'm
does
starting
being
to think this is
headbutted by
rigged.
El Grande Americano not count as a fucking cheating?
Him getting headbutted.
That would be an
and
interference.
hit with the steel chair doesn't count as there being cheating.
I remember you saying
This was
dirty victory as in like a
4-on-1
pin.
match. This was basically 4-on-1. Are you telling me that doesn't count?
Yeah, but they all got kicked by the time that pin happened.
I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't know. I'm becoming very suspicious of you being the official.
I mean, you wanted, I can give it to you.
I'm starting to
If
get
it's a
suspicious.
renowned thing, like what are you talking about? Then yeah, I'll switch it.
I don't know. What do you think?
I mean,
Francis?
I don't know. I'm calling the challenge flag on that.
He's challenging the
Then
play.
Francis is the
I'm
challenge flag.
challenging the play on the field. Like,
was
Francis
the
is the challenge flag.
So, Cap said that Dom would win
Dirty victory.
dirty. So
Dirty
does
Dom.
being headbutted by Grande Americano count as?
It's still outside interference, so yeah, I'd count
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm saying.
It's still, yeah, like I believe if now, granted, if Cap said something like the Judgment Day specifically, then yeah, it wouldn't count because the Judgment Day didn't cost Penta, a Grande Americano did.
Yeah.
But Cap, from what I'm understanding, said any interference whatsoever. So I think yeah, we'd have to give it.
No,
to him.
he said that about Cena.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll.
That as well.
All
I
right.
don't know.
Yes or no?
Section. Let us know in the comments. Do I get this extra point or not?
I mean, I
And
think
if-
Francis said yes, so
Yes.
And
Yeah,
if you
give him
even
the
if you at home, if you're watching this,
You
and
got it.
want to check what I said, you can check out the video from last week. It's on our YouTube channel.
Anyway.
nice
Which
plug.
you should be
Nice plug. Sorry.
Uh,
I was trying.
I got you. I did it before you, bitch.
anyway,
Yeah.
the next match.
All right. Anyway, let's get on to the next match because the next match I got a lot. To
Slacking,
say
boy.
about. I think there's quite a bit to talk about with this next match. It is a match that I
Oh,
did
it's time
not
to get heated.
expect to be as good as it was. I
Same.
expected it to be a lot more one-sided than it actually was. I'm talking
Hey.
about Gunther versus Pat McAfee. Scott, I know you have textbooked amounts of things to say about this, so I'm going to let you go first. Tell me your thoughts on this match.
My thoughts is, wow, I can't believe I'm exactly right from last week when I said this match was going to be better than Gunther versus Jey Uso, and it pretty fucking was because this was. I mean, I knew he was that. I said it. It's going to be a good match. Everybody kept denying because it was Pat McAfee, and I'm like, Pat McAfee is athletic enough and as charismatic enough that he can make it a good match, and that's exactly what happened. And I was more interested in this match than I was the WrestleMania match that Gunther had, because that got boring. And this was, I mean, there was really slow parts, but
It really
again,
started to pick up at the end.
they were both selling so much in the middle of them taking breaks that you just could not, like, the reactions they were giving. You couldn't just look away because of, like, you're like, wow, I can't believe Pat McAfee and a ring announcer is giving him this fight, because it's still technically a ring announcer, even though he's done this a couple of times. And it shows that when, like I said, and it's shown, Gunther's matches are good when the other opponent could give him the athletic abilities to wow the crowd.
Francis, Dom, your guys' thoughts on the match and the match itself.
Dom, you want to go first, or me?
I mean, honestly, like I said, like Scott said, I mean, there wasn't much of a stretch that this was going to be better than the Jey Uso match, but that's besides the point. Yeah, honestly, I thought it was really good. McAfee obviously could use a little more training, because there was a lot of moments that I was like, okay, whatever.
I mean, we do have to.
But let's not talk about the smoothest botch we've ever seen.
Oh yeah, when he fell jumping over the top rope.
Bro, that was so smooth. The way he just, like, tripped over and just instantly just.
But like his forearms looked very weak. With, like, right after that, like, he pushed Gunther into the corner. He was like hitting him with forearms, but it looked like they were just very, like, kind of. And I'm like, what is that? What are you doing?
I mean, listen, I understand what both of you are saying, and like I said, the match was a lot better than I thought.
Oh no, I agree.
But I think we do have to take into consideration here that while Pat McAfee is, there's no question that he's an athlete. There's no question that he is athletic. You know, former NFL player and stuff like that. Yes, he was a kicker, but you know what? He's still the NFL.
Player.
You still have to be an athlete
Still
to
counts.
be in the NFL. The problem does come in the fact that at the end of the day, Pat McAfee is not a wrestler. He is athletic. He is a phenomenal character. He has a great way of making the audience react to him and everything like that. But there's still a level of wrestling that he does not have. And it's not
yet he can make a match entertaining. I know, but yet he can make a match entertaining, other than people who've been doing this their whole lives, and they can't do it at all.
And I think the fact, and you know what, I'll even throw this in as well. I think the fact that Michael Cole was so emotionally involved in this match to the point where he was he was at ringside.
Announcing it with his headphones on.
We marked out, Scott, when Michael Cole got out of the chair and started walking up to Gunther. We're like, oh no, Michael Cole's he's gonna get murdered by Gunther.
Actually, yeah, Francis, since you're mentioning that, your thoughts.
I liked it. I thought it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It started off slow, but it really started to pick up with near the end. You notice a theme occurring at this pay-per-view. I mean, listen, like going back to what Dom said about his elbows looking off, not disagreeing with that at all. Forearms, my mistake. His forearms looking off. Not disagreeing at all, but like I've definitely seen worse. Jay Leno throwing punches in WCW. If you want to see some really awkward handiwork, but you know, I thought it was a good match. It's always good to see Gunther go on a killing spree, and hey, it was told a good story. So you know, I'm fine with it.
Before we get into a bit of some controversy that has been brought about when it comes to this match in particular, when it comes to Pat McAfee in particular, I do have one question that I want to get across to you guys, because this was a thought in my head as I was watching this match. I don't know about you guys, but I really miss the monster heel that was Gunther back in like NXT UK and stuff like that. Just an absolute killing machine that, you know, was UK champion for again, what, like 3.5 years or something like that in NXT UK. I kind of miss those days when it comes to Gunther, and I really felt like after WrestleMania, you really needed to work on getting him back to those killer shark roots that he had. I
Yeah, I
fear
agree.
that despite the fact that Gunther won the match, it was not the dominating performance that
That it should have
that
been.
would really set him on that path. To be honest with you, there were a couple of moments in the match I thought Pat was going to maybe even pull out an upset or something like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna ask you guys. I'm gonna ask you guys this question: was this still a good first step for Gunther on sort of his road to redemption that he desperately needs right now after WrestleMania?
I say
I think so.
I say yes, but it wasn't as good as it should have been.
Yeah.
Be only because I feel like this should have been basically a squash. It should have been very one sided. So a former heavyweight champion should, in my opinion, should not be
Losing to our
not
not
even losing,
losing
but
Not
like
lose.
shouldn't have that
difficulty putting him away.
exactly. Thank you. I was trying to think of the right way to word it, but he shouldn't have an issue putting down a commentator. You know,
I mean, let's.
because yeah, okay, Pat McAfee's wrestled before. What's his record? He's like 0-3.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
like,
dude lost to Vince
let's-
McMahon, and you're gonna fucking tell me that he could put up a fight against Gunther?
Not likely.
I mean, like,
I mean, you can insert Adam Cole because Adam Cole also had a difficult time putting down McAfee at NXT.
You don't
But that
think
was
that there
before
But
was
Vince
that's
said
when he
it.
Adam
was.
Cole
But
I'm
was
that's
the
when.
saying
top
this,
But that's
star.
when he was actually a wrestler.
and listen, I'm gonna say
And that's
this
Adam
as
Cole.
somebody who's actually a fan of Adam Cole. You don't think that there's a bit of a difference between Gunther and
And
Adam Cole?
Adam Cole looks like a fucking toothpick compared to Gunther.
I mean, it's better than struggling against Bad Bunny.
But Bad Bunny puts on a fucking more believable performance.
So he's a celebrity. Pat McAfee's actually worked there. He actually probably learned a trick or two and done stuff.
I
Like,
understand that, but just
we
looking at
can't just
okay,
praise Bad Bunny
only
and then be like, McAfee shouldn't be in there. That's not, no.
all I'm saying.
McAfee did a great. Is he a wrestler? Is he a wrestler? No, he's not a wrestler. He's a commentator. He's a football star. He's an athlete. That's better than a lot of the other celebrities who went in that ring and wrestled the match because a lot of them weren't even athletes. They were just there because they had money. And McAfee did it. He did a good job. The fact that this match was more entertaining than a WWE than a heavyweight title match with a wrestler who's been doing this his whole life, that's kind of more embarrassing
Okay,
because Jay's been doing his whole life and he didn't even put on an entertaining a match. Then Pat McAfee, a punter.
okay,
Okay,
listen.
okay. So
I'm
then,
not. I'm not
okay.
saying.
So let's
I mean, no, I'm just saying like we glaze these other people who look worse if you've struggled against them. But then
Okay.
McAfee actually,
Okay, Scott. I understand what you're saying. That was not the question. The question is this still a good first step in Gunther's redemption arc?
I mean, when we were looking at it after WrestleMania, we didn't see a step at all. We didn't know what was going to happen with Gunther after WrestleMania. We didn't know where we were going to
And
put
then
him.
we said,
And
and then we said
if
that
you want to
him
start,
attacking the
if
commentators
I
was a
know,
step
and
in
if you want to start on this coming back to a rampage, not all the time do they have to be wrestlers. I mean, the commentators. I mean, look at the commentator they chose. Pat McAfee is known for talking a lot of crap against multiple wrestlers. So it makes perfect sense that Gunther would be fed up and being like, well, I'm wrestling this whole time being great, and then you keep trashing and trashing and trashing.
Okay,
He's like, I'm going to
Scott,
teach you a lesson,
you're
and he
missing the
might just
point
be
of the
in that.
question,
Scott,
Scott.
Scott, you're not.
I
You're not.
answered the
I don't
question.
think
No,
you're
you
getting the
didn't.
question.
Yes or no? Was this a good match for Gunther? First match out of losing the title. Yes or no?
Yes,
Thank you.
because the storyline helped it make it great.
Okay, but here is my thing. Realistically speaking, despite all of the athletic gifts that Pat McAfee has, and he does have them, I am not taking away his athletic prowess or anything of that nature. Realistically speaking, this is the same sort of thing that had back in the day after Triple H lost the World Heavyweight Championship to, like, I don't know, John Cena or something like that, and his next match
Batista.
was against, like, Jerry Lawler or something like that.
Yeah, it would make no sense.
Would it have made sense for that match to be as close as Gunther versus Pat McAfee was?
But we're not struggling on knowing where to put Gunther. We're not struggling on knowing where to put Cena and everybody. We knew where. Well, Cena, you can just put him here. You can put him here. You can make this storyline. You can make this storyline. We don't know where Gunther's going to go because this is the first. This is going to be the first time that he's not fighting for a title. That he's going to be titleless for probably a long period. This is something that he's never usually encountered during his time in WWE. So we don't know. There's nothing to go off of what we could do with him.
It is a good way
He's
to
finally
reestablish.
they've had it. I'm sorry, Francis. They had it. His whole storyline in the whole business of WWE was this guy that's going up, up, up. He's an enforcer, and nobody can. He's not an enforcer, but he's obviously he's a general. He's
a machine.
insanely tough. He'll chop you in half, and he'll do all this point, and then he finally hit the point where every single wrestler hits when they're at that kind of level that Gunther had. They're at that reset where you need to find yourself. And could there have been someone better? Yeah, maybe. But was it a bad at the end of it all? Was it a bad idea? No.
Scott, it's not a question of should it have been somebody better. We will get to that. We will get to that because there are people who think that Pat McAfee should not have been involved in this whatsoever. We will get to that. Here is my question. Yes or no? Yes or no? Hold on, Dom. I'm sorry. I gotta get. I'm starting to feel like I don't know.
Yes, like twice already.
Okay, but
like
it's a matter of should this match have been that close?
Does Gunther need to go back to?
We've had worse.
That's not the fucking question.
Okay, Scott. Here's what I'm gonna say, and then we're gonna move on to a different subject involving this match. As the Gunther fan that you are arguably the biggest fan of Gunther out of all four of us. Yes.
Yes.
Do you feel like Gunther needs to go back to his roots of being the killing machine that he was in days such as like NXT UK? Yes or no?
Would you rather he squashed him?
Well, I'm not going to go back on my consistency and say no because I need to see involvement. I don't want to see a backtrack. I want to see something. I've accused other wrestlers. I've disliked other wrestlers because of their consistency of repetitive nature on the same character. You can't bring them back to that character because it doesn't like.
Okay, so
I'm trying to think of a reference. It is like Rusev, for an example. Rusev first came in, he was power, plowing through everybody. Nobody could beat him. He finally got that loss, and he left in. Of course, he was never the same. He was never able to go back to that original character because he's been found out, and this is where we're at the developmental stage of can Gunther actually, when Gunther doesn't have a title around his waist, can he actually create a good match and good storyline? I'm happy they at least got someone entertaining, but this is it. That's it. We're not getting this match anymore. This is just a one-shot thing. And plus, like you guys said, This is not. This is barely a pay-per-view. This is a one-time match, a one-time match to a pay-per-view that came way too early. Like, none of these matches really mattered when we all discussed it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, we'll move on to a different subject involving this. As I said before, guys, I'm going to bring this up to you. I'm going to present this question to the table. There are a lot of people, specifically in the IWC, that feel that Pat McAfee should not have been involved in this at all. They feel like there are certain people that had taken away opportunities from a quote unquote real wrestler, and that should have been fighting Gunther instead of Pat McAfee. I open the floor to you guys. What are your thoughts on this? Should Pat McAfee have even been in the ring? Should it not have gone to like an actual wrestler? Or is this just another moment of what a lot of people feel like it's WWE not really caring about the wrestling so much, but more so caring about the fact that this is going to get like views on YouTube and stuff like that?
Yeah. I feel like that definitely has a part to play in it. Like, this was definitely the more marketable match. Especially since Gunther didn't have any other feuds going into this pay-per-view. That being said, I would say, me personally, I wouldn't put this match on a pay-per-view. This is more of like a Monday Night Raw match, in my opinion. And again, I get it, because like this one, putting Pat McAfee in the ring with anybody is gonna get views, is gonna get ratings, it's gonna get, it's more marketable, because the guy only wrestles like once or twice a year, if that. That being said, like it is what it is. It worked out. I don't think it's a matter of like stealing time from anybody, because again, it's who else was Gunther gonna work?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, and I'm glad you brought this up. There's a large group of people that feel as though, I mean, I don't know if we ever talked about it, but let's bring it up. The Karrion Kross comments after WrestleMania, where he went on Sam Roberts, and he basically did a shoot on WWE, on creative, on the fact that he himself was not involved with the card at all, and it's his hometown.
Yeah.
And I will say this: I'm kind of confused on what Karrion is doing in WWE right now, but there are a lot of people that are really starting to get behind him. I think his shirt sales have like skyrocketed ever since that shoot.
Yeah.
People really want to see him get a push. And specifically when people talk about this match, they bring up those comments again. So I don't know. Would it have been better that this match was on the pay-per-view, or maybe perhaps, I'm not saying specifically against Gunther, but maybe have a different match going into a B live event such as Backlash?
I mean, again, it's one of those things where it's like I feel like that would have been too rushed, because I know which interview you're talking about, and that only took place like 2-3 weeks ago.
Yep.
So you can't build a feud that fast. He's not really feuding with anybody right now.
Yeah.
Like, what is he doing other than like doing like little segments backstage here and there?
His whole character right now is the Sean O'Hare Devil's Advocate character.
Exactly.
The devil on your shoulder type of deal.
Exactly. So he's not really doing anything right now. And unfortunately, that sucks when it's WrestleMania season and creative has nothing for you. Because you want to be on the show, obviously, especially if it's in your hometown. You want to do these things. You want to be on the card. And that should go for any pay per view. You want to be on the card. You want to have a match. You want to do things because that's the whole point of being a professional wrestler. I would love to see a Gunther and Karrion Cross feud. I think that would probably be a pretty solid match.
I mean, I'll quickly give my opinion on this because I feel like though I've kind of been saying it as we've been talking about this match. My problem with this match is not that it exists. I thought it was perfectly fine that it exists.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of have to agree with Dom where I feel like this did not have to be a Backlash match. I feel like this could have happened
or even Saturday night's main event.
Monday. I feel like this could have happened on a Saturday night main event. I feel like this could have happened on a Monday Night Raw. I agree that a big reason that this match happened was because Pat McAfee is a big name in entertainment right now. He's specifically a very big name in sports and sports entertainment. So
I see where you're getting
like,
at, Cap. I understand where you're getting at, Cap.
I feel like if the point of getting this match was to have a big name celebrity like Pat McAfee get in a wrestling ring with Gunther, I feel like regardless, I feel like it didn't have to be put into a premium live event. I feel like it could have been put into main event or Monday Night Raw, and it still would have had the same effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like people would have still clicked on the YouTube link to watch the match. They still would have liked all of the TikToks that came with the match. You could have gotten the same desired effect and not taken up a premium live event slot.
Yeah. Or perfect example, now that I'm thinking about it, because we brought up Saturday night's main event, they could have switched this match with Logan Paul.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Cap just wants to see Logan Paul wrestle sooner.
No, it's more
I'm
a
waiting
matter
to
of
see you in a Jey Uso t-shirt is what I'm waiting to see. But
no, for me it's more a matter of, like I said, nothing against Pat McAfee. I love the guy. He's one of my favorite. I'm not a fan of his wrestling because he doesn't train every week. It's and like I
he
said,
doesn't have
he doesn't have to because he's a commentator. Was the match entertaining? Absolutely. Was it a good match? I wouldn't say
good for what it was.
It was an entertaining match.
I feel like you could have had this
in terms of wrestling. It was okay.
I mean, I feel like you could have had this match on literally any show, any weekly show, and it would have done the same thing that it did.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, your take on this, because I'm sure you have a differing opinion.
Kind of a little bit. Could this have been a different match, and it could have been on a regular Raw? Yeah, I'll admit to that. It could have been somewhere else when this match popped up. As for the people who are complaining about Karrion Cross, I don't want to hear their mouths, honestly, because these are the same people who stay silent when he was in the ring actually trying to make a character good. So the fact that you're complaining now, the only reason they're complaining that Karrion Cross isn't in this match is because he spoke up after WrestleMania. That's the only reason. If he never speaks up, they never complain that they wanted him in there. As for having someone else, as for having someone else in there as a different match, as before, like newcomers, because that was the number one conversation I was hearing from other people. Like have like a couple of newcomer wrestlers. Who is entertaining enough to give a match that we care about? A lot of the wrestlers at WrestleMania need to take a little break anyway. A majority of them looked like they did take a break from after WrestleMania. So this was kind of a match to just start a little bit of something for the new year, because this is obviously, like we said before, this is obviously like a pay-per-view is way too soon. Maybe like a month, a little bit, like a month farther back probably would have been a better idea for this pay-per-view. But could have been someone different. I can't think of another match that could have taken over it. I mean, not for who they wanted to be in there, because you had big names in this card. If you were going to put any other wrestlers, you would have to at least try to equal it out because there wasn't really a mid card wrestler there,
All right.
even though the mid card
I mean,
title,
I can
multiple mid card
actually,
titles hit.
I can possibly think of the only thing that I can think of as like a good match that probably maybe could have taken the place of this. There is a tag team match tonight, a women's tag team match. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley versus Julia and Roxanne. As we've stated before, all four of these women are on the upper end of the women's division. All four of them are. I don't think anybody would
Yeah,
argue that Io and Rhea are insanely popular right now.
yeah.
You know, Rhea is a staple. Io Sky, everybody loves her. I feel personally like this tag team match could have taken the spot. These two matches could have swapped places with each other. And I think that both of them would have had the desired effect that they probably are going to have. Agree or disagree?
I can see where you're coming from.
I get it, but I don't know. I feel like
Alright.
if the spots were reversed, we'd probably be having the same conversation of because there was no stakes to this match, that tag team match either. You know, what's the point of this tag team match? It's just to have a match.
No.
All right, Francis.
Well,
Yeah.
at least-
All I'm saying is,
I already said what I had to.
all I'm saying is, if you're gonna replace that match with something else, it has to have something that with adequate build up. Like, yes, they had decent build up for the Pat McAfee match with Gunther and everything, and to me, it's just a. I think the match was fine on the pay-per-view, other than the fact that it was like lackluster to me. It was entertaining for what was around in terms of feuds. Yeah, there's no. I don't know.
Fair enough. I don't know. Folks, you let us know. You let us know in the comments. All right. We are moving on to the main event. The match
We all get a point.
everybody's
We
talking
all
about.
picked Gunther.
Yes, we did.
Oh, we all got a, by the way.
Yeah.
Nobody if anybody did not pick Gunther going into this match, honestly, we would have to consider your place on this show. Because you've just straight up not been paying attention.
Yeah.
Is basically what I would take away from that. All right, let's talk about the main event. For the last time, the WWE Championship, John Cena, the last real champion, versus Randy Orton.
This match was weird.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about this because I said it before last week on the episode. This, for a lot of our generation, actually for our generation, this was basically our Stone Cold and The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
This was our Hogan and Randy Savage. This is quite possibly the rivalry of our generation. This was the last time we are ever going to see these two get together. I thought it was very sports entertaining.
I mean, they
What I
did
will
all their
say.
greatest hits during the match.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it started kind of slow, but the
first 10 seconds of that match was very like it was suffering. I suffered during those first 10 seconds because John Cena felt so out of place doing that eye poke. Up until Randy Orton eye poked him back, that's when it started. That's when it smoothed out. But that beginning moment where John Cena eye poked him, they did a little scuffle. Randy did it back. That was that was terrible.
I get you. The role reversal is awkward, but I get it.
Yeah, but we knew that was gonna. We knew that was
that was
coming.
expected. I would say honestly, I really enjoyed the match. The only
Match was really good.
The only point of the match that I was like, why are they doing this? Was towards the end when they were like going back and forth, shooting each other off into the ropes and then getting into a headlock. And I'm like, well, did we need to do that like 6 times before we moved on to the next point in the match?
I'm actually glad you brought that up, Dom, because you're somebody that discusses, obviously with your background in professional wrestling and everything like that. You're somebody that talks a lot about the wrestling psychology and stuff like that. You care a lot
Yeah.
about like wrestling psychology and stuff like that. So what's like the usual feel about this like exchanging of headlocks
I
that
mean,
sometimes happens in matches?
I get it because like, once or twice is one thing, but I feel like it got a little carried away, in my opinion. I mean, I get it. They did it for a laugh. It's like, oh, go back and forth. Oh, they did it again. Oh, they did it again. And, they did it for each, like, fucking section of the ring. Um, and obviously, like, to me, it looked like it was for a comedy spot because it did get a couple laughs, I noticed. But it was also, to me, it seemed like it was also to take the place of, like, a rest hold so they can communicate with each other a little bit and talk about the next spot. At least that's what I thought. I could be entirely wrong.
I mean, I will say the first 10 minutes of this match I thought were not great. I'm somebody that I don't really love when they're just like exchanging headlocks and stuff like that, and they're sitting there for like 10 minutes in a headlock, or stuff like that. I think it's so boring. I know it's so that like you said, they can talk about like the rest of the match and stuff like that, but I always found that so goddamn boring to watch. Fortunately, the rest of the last, I want to say, 15 to 20 minutes of this match was absolutely bananas.
Mm-hmm.
They exchanged AAs, RKOs.
They did the spot where they did each other's
Cena did an
finishers.
RKO. Cena tried to do a punt kick. Randy Orton did an RKO. He did a couple of AAs.
Through tables.
He tried to
Yeah.
kick him. The referee got knocked out twice. They sent in another referee. He got knocked out.
And then Randy Orton hit everybody and anybody with an RKO.
Randy Orton owes Nick Aldis another $100,000 in fines, probably, because he RKO'd him again.
Oh yeah, Randy went on another killing spree, didn't he? As he is wont to do.
We got 2 table spots in this match. John
And
Cena
at
went to 2 tables in this match.
at the 0 hour where it looked like all was lost and Randy was gonna pick up the win, who would come to John Cena's rescue but his number one fan, R-Truth.
Okay. Before we get to that finish, so how do we feel about the I'm going to lovingly call it the Benny Hill section of this match?
What, the RKO
Because I feel
killing
like
spree?
you could have been playing Benny Hill music during this part of the match.
I mean, look, you could be really cynical about it and say, oh, well, it's a Cena-Orton match. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. And they probably went into this thing knowing that, so they tried to just, like before the match, John Cena and Randy Orton just said, okay, let's just put in as many batshit crazy spots that we can think of without it going into a no DQ.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll just and we'll use that to spice it up. So they did all. I was expecting more callbacks throughout history. Like, oh, are we going to go back to the time where is Randy going to bring up the time he tried to kill John Cena's dad?
Was Randy? Oh. Yeah, I thought John was gonna try and kill Bob Orton or something like that.
Yeah.
Scott, your thoughts?
The match was the John Cena Randy Orton match. It was good. Obviously not to the caliber of what it used to be because they're both older, and John Cena, out of the two, John Cena has shown wear and tear, and isn't the same. Well, Randy kind of looks better. Somehow he gets better throughout his time in WWE. But the one thing that I'm starting to realize, and if this is what John Cena if this is what John Cena means by I'm gonna ruin wrestling by having a new person interrupt your match every single time, I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's about half of the history of that title.
Yeah.
Brock, Roman Reigns, the Universal, because that is the title based off the Universal.
So yeah, let's just cut into it. Francis already kind of brought it up.
Not just the Universal; it's the Universal Championship and the WWE Championship. It is the
Let's,
undisputed championship.
Basically, any world title.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's just address.
The heavyweight championship is based off the big gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just address the 60-year-old man-child elephant in the room. The match was. There was one extra thing after Randy Orton managed to RKO anything breathing within a 10 feet radius of him. And as he was about to punt John Cena's cubic-shaped head into the sun, who else would be interrupting the match other than that 60-year-old man-child, R-Truth? Who also ate an RKO for his troubles, and also, I'm not going to lie to you, is probably going to be murdered on Friday.
Yeah, Cap, he had to protect his childhood hero.
He's 60.
And then after he protected his childhood hero, John Cena thanked him by FUing him onto a table himself.
Oh yeah, during the press conference.
Congratulations.
Actually. Yeah, during the press conference that happened.
Yeah.
Which may I say continued the worst acting that I've seen John Cena ever did, because that was terrible.
Although I do want to point
out
I don't know if you guys noticed spoiler alert, John Cena wins the match.
Yeah, John won.
Yeah, Cena wins lol.
After he won, right? He was the camera cuts out and then came back on. And he was standing at ringside with the title and everything, and the fans started chanting, "Thank you, John," or "Thank you, Cena." And he had like a moment of hesitation, I noticed.
Yeah, I thought that adds to the weirdness factor of this whole thing.
It really did look like the moment got to him.
Not even that. I think it was on purpose, first off. Because WWE has been known to plant people in the crowd to start chants. Right? I think that was on purpose. They started that chant. He had that moment of hesitation. I think Cena's going to turn face before he loses that title.
Oh, he's having... I remember talking about...
crisis of
my God, what have I done?
Like, he's going to have that moral crisis and realize what The Rock did to him.
Now that you say something, it did seem rather random when they said "Thank you, John Cena." It felt random when they said it. I was like, because in my head I'm like, where did that come from?
That's what
like we're not even close to where he's going to be done. Like,
but that's
way too early.
It's early, but I think he's going to have that crisis of moral dilemma and be like, oh my God, I fucked up. I am so, like, he's going to apologize to the crowd, like this and that, all this other stuff. And he's going to turn against The Rock. And then we're going to have The Rock and John Cena one more time.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
It's going to be for the title.
It's number one. No, but that one, I think he would have to win that one.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. Number one, I feel like... Look, John is eventually going to turn...
He can't retire a heel.
Face again. You cannot have him retire like this. You can't have him retire, like this. You can't do it. But this might just be me in the fact that I cannot buy into this I go back and forth where I know that they're trying to like work they're trying to like work the audience with this whole I'm ruining wrestling. I'm gonna kill the championship or whatever. I'm gonna take it home with me. And there's gonna be a tinfoil
Because then
champion
this
and
way
blah blah
nobody
blah blah
could
blah.
ever
I know they're
be.
trying to work.
Uh-huh.
I know like and you know you have certain people that love it and say, oh well, wrestling should be ruined, and I hope he does it and all that stuff, and fuck you to the fans and blah 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 blah. And then you know there's the actual effect that WWE maybe wants audience members to have, and this is a reaction that I have, like that's just kind of like sick of this heel John Cena thing because it sounds like a 49-year-old man with an inferiority complex who's like throwing tantrums every week because I don't know,
Because
we
he got
didn't like
booed one too
support
many
the
times.
Church of Cena
Yeah.
or something like that. Um, and I go back and forth on it because there are certain times where I buy into it, and then there are moments after Backlash when he's like hesitating, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, it almost looked like he was crying or like he was gonna cry or something like
I
that.
think it was more of he had the thought of like he had that like brief thought of oh shit maybe I'm wrong.
He didn't look. He didn't give the look of a heel dominant champion. He looked like
He felt. I
he
felt
looked
like he wanted to.
sad.
I
Yeah.
felt like he wanted to do the face thing and go back into the ring and show
Yeah.
off the title he defended.
Exactly.
Like
Like he
'Cause then
wanted
it's
to
like-
do things that
Yeah.
he know he couldn't do.
Yeah, because it's also again you had that moment of he walked up the ramp and he stopped at the top of the stage and waited and then put the title over his shoulder and then walked out the back.
Mhm.
it's so odd to me because so many times it looks like he wants to soak this in
But he can't.
and he can't.
But
But
I
he
think
can't do
that's-
it
I think
because
that's
this
what they-
character isn't doing that.
Yeah, because I think that's what they're going for. They want that. You know what I mean? Like they want him to have that moment so he can, like I said, so we can look back at this in like a month or two and be like, oh look, see they were teasing it all along. He didn't want to be a heel. It's just he wanted that title, you know, the title, so he sold his soul to The Rock, and now he regrets his actions.
I don't know, man. This is such a weird way to end the career of John Cena.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
feel
Like his last few months, he's gonna be a babyface.
and but I don't know. Then what was the point of even doing any of this?
Because he
Just
never
to
got
say
to
that
play
they
it.
could.
Yeah,
I don't
he
know.
wanted to
Anyway.
do something different.
Anyway, maybe though, although maybe then that's the reason that we got the segment where he AA'd R-Truth through the table. Because listen, whether you like what he did or not, R-Truth is beloved in WWE. He's beloved by wrestlers in the back, by staff, by writers, the fans. We love R-Truth. We all love R-Truth, man. And to be honest with you, and I was talking to somebody about it after it happened. Do you guys remember the first Avengers movie?
Yes.
I kind
Yeah.
of equated this to like a killing of Coulson in the first Avengers movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like this is kind of like the Coulson murder right here. The thing that is supposed to get people to stop cheering him altogether
The
because
shit
everybody
just got
loves
serious
R-Truth.
moment, yeah.
Everybody loves R-Truth, and you just put him through a table after
The
he
only
did it because he loves you.
The only way you can make that worse is if we have Cena go on live TV and drown a puppy in a bucket of poison.
Now, I mean, now he might be getting the booze that he wants.
Because of the R-Truth thing.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
kind of a sick bastard
definitely.
if you still cheer him after what he did to R-Truth, man. Like, there's also another thing that people have brought up after this though, and it's the idea that possibly at Saturday Night Main Event, R-Truth is John Cena's next opponent.
Ah,
How do we feel about that potential?
Oh, that needs to be a squash. Like that.
Good for R-Truth. He finally gets
Yes.
the title shot.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like, he's
good
not
for
gonna
our
win,
truth.
obviously, but
Oh God, no.
No, but yeah, obviously.
You know,
Imagine.
what would be so
God.
what would be so funny to me is if Truth is the reason that Cena turns face again.
Yeah.
That he like
He
Truth
just pops
snapped.
up during the.
No, not
Oh
even that.
God,
Like Truth snaps him out of it.
Yeah.
that would be so funny.
Yeah, they
Truth
have.
sets you free.
They're gonna have an "I know you're somewhere in there" fight.
Exactly.
I snapped him out of it because of the power of love.
Is he gonna bring back little Jimmy?
Yeah, he has to.
What if little Jimmy was John Cena all the time because we can't see either of them?
I'm just waiting for the moment we start to see like an actual child and like
Yeah,
it's
that
like a
would be
thing of
funny.
like, oh my God, after all these years, we
He's
all see
real.
little Jimmy. And it's a
Oh
child.
no, it would be great.
Like an
No,
actual
you save little Jimmy's appearance for when R-Truth gets inducted, and you just grab a random child.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just grab
that-
a random kid and just say, this was little Jimmy the whole time.
He's gonna introduce me to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he little Jimmy inducts Truth into the Hall of Fame.
Oh man, that would be. Yep,
But-
It's something
that's
to
an
wa-
R-Truth exit.
It's something to watch.
I'm going to be honest
It
with
is
you. I
something to
think
watch.
it would be entertaining as hell. It would be something to watch.
There we go. That's me making up for fucking
Anyway,
up nice
yeah,
plug.
like we said, John Cena won that match. We all got the point. So, Scott, let us know the results of Backlash.
Dom, Cap, and Francis all got the point with the John Cena win. My Hail Mary attempt to creating repeating history failed because John Cena didn't DQ himself, as my extra point included, and Randy Orton didn't win because John Cena didn't disqualify himself, so I get nothing. Francis didn't
So
get it.
if I did the math right, I think we're
Francis
all tied.
didn't get an extra point. Cena, Cap gets the point with Cena, and he also gets a point because he said somebody would interfere, or if Truth interfered.
Oh, shit! So
Dom doesn't get the point because you specified Travis Scott, and he never showed up.
What was my extra point going to be? What did I say?
You didn't give one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you didn't. I don't think you ever gave one.
No, I think,
Yeah, you didn't give a single one.
No. I think Francis said Travis Scott would interfere, not me.
Well, either way, I wouldn't.
Either way, you wouldn't have got it.
Either way, yeah.
But don't worry about it.
All right. So tied for second is me, Francis, and Dom with 4, and Cap with with a great 2 extra point victory, which just hasn't happened in a bit. Gets 6, so Cap wins this Backlash tournament. Backlash.
Well played, sir.
All right, guys. Yeah, like I said, overall it was a good weekend. Good pay-per-view. Can't wait for
It was.
All
right, folks, I think we are going to cap things off there.
Oh, we're gonna cap.
I see what you did there.
I'm surrounded by idiots. Folks, if you made it to this part of the show, it obviously means that you enjoy listening to us talk to each other. So, since you like it so much, you might as well follow us here on Twitch, and be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube as well, where the VODs from this Twitch channel go up the very next day. Also, if you like us that much, then you'll really want to follow us on TikTok and Instagram, where we are posting daily or nearly daily wrestling content. So give us a follow there at The Push Wrestling on both of those.
I'm not saying it because I fucked up and I need a week to redeem myself.
Nobody cares.
You do.
So
anyway, for all of us here at The Push, my name is Cap.
I'm Dom.
Got Bash.
I'm a failure.
He's also Francis. And ring
Francis.
that bell for me, Dom.